Well, while it seemed like things were a little bit more different, now things are sort of back to normal. Well, kind of. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is my review for Arrow Season 3, Episode 12, Uprising, and this was definitely a game-changing episode because, of course, some huge things happened this episode, and this was by far best episode of the season. Definitely best episode of the season. I absolutely loved this episode. It wasn't, at first I didn't really know how to feel that would end up happening in this episode, but we'll get to that, and I thought it was still very well done, and let's just get to this episode, because overall I really enjoyed it, and, this was kind of the ending of the three-parter without Oliver, pretty much. So, let's just get to this episode. Right away, this episode tells you that Oliver is coming back, because the action kicks off, and Oliver is literally preparing to leave, but he's stopped by Tatsu before he could run off, and he thanks her for saving his life, but she says that Mazeo did all the work, and Oliver asks Tatsu to come with him, but like Mazeo, she refused, and Starling City's hero is beginning to make his way back home, which, everyone's excited for that, definitely. And I like that the episode started off that way, because I thought that was a really good way to start the episode overall. So I really enjoyed that the episode started off with Oliver on his way back, and basically back at home, Brick's gang of foot soldiers wreak havoc on a local diner. Arsenal and Canary come in, however, and stop the looting. And when they leave, Sarah's old friend Sin sees the Canary, and it was cool to see Sin again, because we haven't seen Sin since season 2, and I honestly forgot about Sin. I did, and I've always really liked Sin's character, so it was cool to see her again. And basically, she mistakes Laurel for Sarah, and she doesn't realize that Laurel. It really shows how great of a job Laurel is doing as a Black Canary. So back at the Arrow Cave, Felicity speaks with uh with Lance about the escalating crime, and basically, meanwhile, Malcom is training Thea in sword fighting. He teaches her that hesitation results in death, explaining that mercy is not part of the League of Assassins code, and if Thea wants to survive the League's eventual assault on Starling City, she must be prepared to kill, and he then tells the story of the first time that he killed, and that the victim was his wife's murderer. And that was very interesting, because we're then taken to a flashback several years ago, and we see a much younger, richer, and weaker Malcom comes home to a young Tommy. It was cool to see Malcom a little bit different, not as intimidating, not as tough, not as experienced as he is here, and it was cool to see Tommy again. They play for him, but this is not the Tommy you ever used to. It's a very young Tommy. He's a little boy here. They play for a minute, but the doorbell rings, and Malcom goes to the door. He's greeted by 2 officers who inform him that his wife is dead, and that's pretty insane that we started it off that way. But I really like this, because what I like that this season is doing is that it's making us care more about Malcom, and making us see that Malcom is a person that, yeah, we can trust him. And I definitely enjoyed seeing it. I thought that was very well done, and that's definitely something I've been liking that they've been doing lately. So back in the present, Roy meets with Lance, and they discuss how they can defeat Brick, and Lance heads over all the evidence and flies Starling City PD has on Brick, and but then asks about Arrow and Sarah's disappearance, and Lance wants to know where they are, but of course, they have to do whatever they can to hide this from Lance, and Roy says he'll update him when he can, and Arsenal goes back, basically, Roy goes back to the Arrow, back to the foundry, where they all look up possible places to find Brick, and as they unpack Lance's evidence and old case files, they discover that Brick was the one who killed Malcolm's wife, and Malcolm Merlin's wife, and Malcolm, who has the foundry bug, hears this information, and apparently must have killed the Raw Man, his supposed act of vengeance, and that's very interesting that we found that out, and really, that's where the rest of the episode leads to. It's all about, can we trust Malcolm, and I definitely really enjoyed that. And you can definitely see that the team has really come together now. They were very skeptical about working together, but they really have come together now. Roy really is the leader of all this, which I like seeing. And then you have Diggle and Felicity and Sarah. I mean, not Sarah, but Felicity and Laurel. I like seeing them all work together, and I think it's very well done the way they're doing that. So, out of the woods, Oliver walks towards Starling City. Tatsu follows him and says that if he ever wants to defeat guhl, he'll have to keep training. And that is his main mission right now, is to defeat guhl, and I like seeing Oliver not going down without a fight. This is the Oliver that we all love, and it was great to get that Oliver back, because, Oliver's been very, very weak in the past few episodes, so we really haven't gotten to see Oliver do much. It's more been Mazeo taking care of him. And we don't get anything with that whole twist tonight, by the way. We don't see that. I think we're going to definitely see that soon, but we don't get any with that in this episode, because it's mainly about Oliver's return, which I like seeing. But then we see that in Starling, Malcom prepares to go after Brick and finally avenge his wife's death. In a cut to the past, we see a mourning Malcom at his wife's grave, and a man comes to him and gives him a lead, obviously an incorrect one, on his wife's supposed killer. And the story then cuts back to the Foundry, where Team Arrow finds Brick's hideout, and they stage an assault, and Felicity cuts the power to Brick's hideout first. Then, this is pretty awesome scene. Roy and Laurel systematically take out Brick's men in the shadows, Batman style, and Brick confronts Laurel and Roy, but before they're about to engage, Malcom enters the fray and shoots Brick down with an arrow of his own. He doesn't kill him, though, and Brick gets away. So Malcom, Roy, and Laurel retreat to the Foundry, where Malcom proposes that they should team up, and they're thinking that he is insane, because, I mean, obviously, they don't want anything to do with him. They think that he's crazy. They don't think he's the guy they should work with, but Malcom, I like what Malcom says, that their common hatred for Brick should outweigh their own disdain for one another, because, honestly, think about it. I mean, there was a time when this really makes me think back to what Felicity said to Barry in The Flash, how they were a team that didn't exactly work at first, and I thought that Malcom was going to become a part of Team Arrow, so I like seeing this episode focused on that, because he should be a part of Team Arrow. I mean, he's trying to redeem himself, he's trying to be, he's trying to be more vengeful of things, and I like seeing that with his character. So after the meeting, Roy heads upstairs to Verdun and talks to Thea, and she explains why she's been training with Malcom, telling Roy for the first time that it was Malcom who saved her during Deathstroke's attack. And I was surprised that she told him that, but, he needs to know that, and I thought that was good that she told him that, because this makes him think more about possibly trusting Malcom, which I like seeing. I like seeing Roy kind of be the leader of all this, because Roy always seemed like a good leader to me. Plus, everyone complained Roy was not doing enough, and if this episode, tells you anything, it's telling you that Roy is doing a lot more now. So Roy takes this information, goes back downstairs to the Foundry, and he tells Team Arrow that Malcom truly cares about Starling City, and that basically the Earthquake machine was just a hiccup for an otherwise spotless record. So the team continues to debate, but ultimately decides not to throw in with Malcom, and I like what Felicity says to them. Felicity says that Oliver would not want any of this, Oliver would never support this, and, basically they don't think that, they don't think it's the right thing to do. So I like that they're kind of contemplating about this, because it was interesting to see them, sort of debate about something without Oliver. I definitely enjoyed seeing that. So Diggle meets with Malcom to tell him the news, and in the past, Malcom tries finding his wife's killer, a local street punk, and Malcom confronts the man, pulls a gun on him, but the younger Malcom is completely untrained and gets thrashed by the killer. Remember, this is before Malcom was trained, and he was, much more sadistic. He's not like how he is now. So the killer leaves a gun behind him, Malcom takes in, kills him. Panicking, Malcom splits from Starling City, heads to Nanda Parbat, and he explains that his rage has not subsided, and only the League of Assassins can make him truly helpful to Starling City. So in the present, Tatsu leads Oliver to a truck that will that'll take him to Starling. Before they split, Tatsu tells Oliver that he will have to sacrifice what he holds dear if he is ever to defeat Roz. And back in the city, Thea approaches Malcom. She tells Malcom that she told Roy about the night of Deathstroke's raid, and basically, back in the Foundry, the team discusses what they should do to take down Brick, and while they don't want Malcom's help, they know what they need, that they need aid somewhere, and it's officially recruiting time, because they need to recruit somebody. They know they need to recruit somebody, and the team brings in Ted Grant, and that was awesome to see. I knew that he was going to come back in the story somehow, because, I mean, he trained Laurel, and he also used to be a vigilante, so I'm not surprised that he is going to become a part of Team Arrow, which I definitely feel like he's still going to be. Sin's also helping them in a mob of Glades residents in their assault on Brick, and they said that this was going to be the biggest battle in Arrow history, and I don't know if it is, but it's pretty damn close, definitely. It's pretty damn close, and it was a pretty awesome battle. So with their army in place, Roy and Laurel confront Brick in the Glades. Brick's team of soldiers assembles, as does Team Arrow's. The battlefront is formed for the war for the Glades to begin, and it's time to go down on the streets. And as the citizens and thugs, they're duking it out and everything. Wildcat engages Brick. Brick is about to kill Wildcat, but Roy jumps in and saves him, and Brick tries fleeing the scene, but he's cut off by Malcom. Malcom cuts him down, pulls a gun on him, and then we have one of the most epic things ever. This was amazing the way this was done. Because literally Oliver comes out of nowhere. He comes literally out of nowhere and takes down a thug. And since Roy didn't fire, it only means one thing. He's back. And at first I thought that Malcom was hallucinating. I thought that Malcom was thinking this is what Oliver would have said, because it just seemed kind of sudden to me. But then I realized, wait a second, Oliver was heading back to Starling City, and that's how he made his entrance. That's fucking awesome. That is why Oliver is a badass, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why I love Oliver's character. And that was awesome to see. I absolutely love that, and I think that gets applause right there, because that was an awesome entrance. I can't think of a more badass way to return than just to, do what Oliver did. That was awesome to see. So Malcolm's about to kill Brick, but Oliver emerges, tells him not to do it. He says that for Thea's sake, Malcom can't murder Brick, and Malcom decides not to kill him. And Oliver then re-enters the crowd, jumps on top of a bus with all eyes on him. Now, at first it was kind of like, I don't know if I like Oliver returning so early, but what they do with him, I really enjoyed seeing. And as I said, last week, I didn't really want him to come back till the end of the season. I didn't want him, come fully back to Team Arrow and have Team Arrow fully formed again until the end of the season. But knowing what was happening, knowing what was going to happen, especially the end of this episode, that really made me think, yeah, they made a good decision in bringing him back. Because at first I wasn't really sure if they should have, but now I feel like, yeah, they should have brought him back. Definitely, they made a good decision in doing that. So, I love this next scene. You see everyone looking at Oliver. They're all shocked, and Oliver re-enters the crowd. He jumps on top of a bus, and with all eyes on him, he says that he's been gone for a while, and now he's back, and he says that Starling City is once again under Oliver's watch, and that was awesome to see. So Captain Lance's team moves in and proceeds to weed out Brick's thugs, and Lance runs into Sin, and Sin tells Lance that she's learned something. The canary is no longer Sarah, and someone else is impersonating her. So Sin definitely knows that there's something else going on, and I really like this because it's really going to increase Lance's suspicions, because now that he knows that Sarah is not the canary, he's going to want to know who it is, definitely. He wants to know who is impersonating Sarah, and he's never going to think it's Laurel. And honestly, I feel like when he finds out it's Laurel, he's going to be completely heartbroken. He is totally going to be heartbroken over this. And I really do feel bad for Lance. As I said, I feel worse and worse for Lance as the episodes go on. But after this episode, oh my god, I feel so bad for him. Because he has no idea that his daughter is the one that is impersonating his other daughter. He has no idea, and it's very sad to see. Plus, he has no idea that his other daughter's dead, so Malcom goes back to Thea at her apartment, but it's quickly followed by Oliver, and Thea at first doesn't know, she doesn't understand why Oliver's there and everything, and Oliver makes it a lie to her that he went to visit an old friend, and I thought this was a good lie, because of course he has to still lie to Thea, but I thought overall this was a legitimate, it could have been true. I like that he said this to her, because honestly, I thought there was it wasn't like a terrible lie. I thought it was actually a good lie, so he tells her that he was in prison for a little bit, and now he's back, and Thea goes to make tea, and Malcom tries explaining his recent actions to Oliver, and Oliver warns Malcom that Roz will come to Starling, and eventually learn that Thea killed Sarah, and when he does, Oliver will have to protect Thea, and Oliver then asks Malcom to train him in combat so that he can beat Roz in their eventual rematch. So yes, Oliver is teamed up with Malcom, and I love this, because beginning of the season, Oliver would have never thought of this. But now he gets to take down Roz. He really has no other choice but to work with Malcom. Because who is the strongest person? Who is the best person to train with? Who is the best possible person that could get him ready for this? Malcom. That's who it could be. So I like that he's working with Malcom. I think this is awesome. And I can't wait to see where else this goes. So Oliver then goes back to the Foundry where he has an emotional reunion with the team. He congratulates them all for keeping the city together in his absence, but then drops the bomb that he will train under Malcom. And as I said, at first I was a little bit upset them bring back Oliver, but this next scene, I'm like, they need to bring back Oliver because I love what they do in this next scene. This next scene is just amazing, and honestly, might be my favorite Oliver Felicity scene yet. I think this scene was amazing. Felicity is pissed at Oliver because she literally said that Oliver would have never approved of this before, and now she feels like he is a completely different person, and basically Oliver tries to explain his action to Felicity, but she says that she expected it, but that when he died, when she was fantasizing, for the past month, because we find out he's basically been gone for a month in this episode, she said that for the past month she's been doing nothing but fantasizing, that she expected a different or better Oliver to come back from the dead. And she tells Oliver that she doesn't want to be the woman that he loves, and basically, what he's doing is terrible because he's saying, I like what she says to him because it is kind of true, that the person he's working with turned his sister into a killer and made her kill Sarah, made her kill Sarah, and then basically seems extinguishing and hopes at it seemingly, kind of shows a future romance, but it's really heartbreaking now, and that was a really heartbreaking cliffhanger. I gotta say, it was a very well done cliffhanger, and I like that was a cliffhanger. I like that wasn't anything too crazy, because that's the perfect way to get back into Oliver's storyline. The other thing I forgot to say is that I really like with Malcom is that he tells Oliver that he really wasn't a good son. He really wasn't a good father to Tommy, and he thinks that, his whole redeeming part with Thea, that's why he wants to redeem. That's why he wants to, be such a good father to Thea, because he wasn't really there for Tommy, and I really like that we found that out about his character, because we need to find out why he exactly was doing what he was doing. So I like that we found that out in this episode. I thought that was very well done as well. But overall, guys, this episode was amazing. Absolutely loved it. By far the best episode of the season. Definitely really enjoyed it, and a lot of things to talk about right now. First of all, it looks like next week we're going to not focus on Brick. I wish we would have had Brick's character for a few more episodes. Vinnie Jones was such an awesome villain, and I wish that, they said that there were going to be 4 episodes focusing on Laurel. Next week's the last one. And I really wish that the 4th one would have been the one where Oliver comes back. But whatever, Oliver's back now. Now, how is this whole Oliver-Felicity tension going to be? Definitely this is not going to be very good now, because they have this whole tension going on. And it's not good for either of them that they have this going on. Because with this tension going on, it's just not going to end well for Oliver or Felicity. And I feel really bad for them. And definitely it's not going to end well for either of them. So that's definitely not going to end well. Now, as far as Laurel, as far as Laurel and Lance, I feel so bad for Lance. He has to find out that it's Laurel. Laurel has to tell him now. She has no choice but to tell him. But we'll have to see what happens there. Sin, definitely, she's on to the canary. So she is probably going to start to question things, which I'm looking forward to. I like seeing Sin back in the show because now she actually has a lot to do. And I definitely really enjoy that. Malcom and Oliver working together. It looks like next week they're working with Thea somehow, because there were leaked photos of next week's episode, and there are photos where they're working with Thea. So I don't know if Oliver's going to tell Thea his secret. That might be the only way out of this, though. Really, it would make sense, because honestly, while Oliver's lie seems believable, I think Oliver's tired of lying. I really do. I think that's what Felicity's most upset about, is the constant lying. He's lied to a lot of people, but that's how you have to be when you're a hero. You have to lie to certain people, and Felicity needs to understand that. And I don't think Felicity understands that as well as Oliver wants her to. And now, as far as Ra's al Ghul coming back, when do I think he's coming back? I don't think Ra's al Ghul is coming back till the later half of the season, because I know that the next half of the season is going to focus on Deathstroke and the return of Deathstroke and how that's going to affect the team. So I definitely feel like what's going to happen is that Ra's al Ghul is going to not come back till the end. It's going to be like a total Slade thing like last year. Ra's al Ghul, I think Ra's al Ghul is going to be the first person that is killed by Oliver, definitely. But Oliver needs to stop this whole stop not killing people thing, because it's not ending well. He needs to kill people. He almost died because of it. He almost died, and plus he's not really telling anyone why this happened to him, so that's going to be interesting. I thought that was interesting. As far as Oliver and Tatsu, they tried to hint at a relationship there, but I don't know what's happening. Mazeo, we didn't really see much development with Mazeo and Chase, but definitely they are working for Ra's al Ghul. A lot of people are speculating that Chase is Ra's al Ghul's son, and we didn't focus on that either, so definitely I feel like we're going to focus on that soon. I don't know when, but we have to focus on that soon, because that's a very important conflict that needs to get solved. We need to figure out who could be the who Chase really is. I definitely want to know who he could be. And I guess that's basically my review. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Overall, guys, at first it was a little bit underwhelmed by Oliver's return. I just felt like it was kind of too sudden. But then once he returned, I thought his entrance was awesome and things like that. How do you feel about Oliver returning? Should they have waited a couple weeks? I mean, I really like seeing Team Arrow continue without Oliver, because it was interesting to see how they handled it, especially seeing Roy be the leader. I definitely enjoyed seeing that. But now it's over and Oliver's back, and we're back to the whole let's find this killer format. It's definitely back to that. And while I really like that format, I definitely enjoyed more how it was in the past 3 episodes. So I'm kind of worried that next week is going to be a little bit of a letdown, but we'll have to see how it is. I mean, the season's been on fire for the past few episodes, so we'll see how it is overall. But that's been my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. And overall, guys, I thought this was the best episode of the season. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of The Americans, which I can't wait for, and of course, and I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.